put them in an autistic class with other autistic children, they will start acting autistic. They will start behaving autistic. And although they are not autistic, they will appear to be, brothers and sisters. Slow down on getting babies evaluated for anything, but especially autism. Third commandment of raising autistic children: do not spoil them. Do not baby them. Do not enable them. Too many autistic children, especially the boys, are being spoiled. They are being enabled. And they are being sheltered. You cannot do that, because those children, although they are autistic, they still have to learn how to function in a world independently. You will not be able to hold their hands at 21 years old. You will not be able to hold their hands at 25 years old. So please do not shelter and baby and spoil and enable them so much that they become emotionally handicapped. If you emotionally handicap your autistic child, you might as well have them classified as severely and profoundly mentally retarded. If you're going to emotionally handicap your autistic child, you might as well get them qualified as retarded, because that's how they're going to look. If you, as the black mother or father, handicap your child emotionally by not making them learn to function independently, it's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy, but they have to learn how to be independent. Take them outside. Expose them to other children slowly, which takes me to my commandment number 4. Exposure therapy is necessary, and social skills therapy and exposure therapy are absolutely necessary for autistic children. What is exposure therapy? That is just a fancy word for gradually, patiently, and systemically exposing a child to their fears. If you have a snake phobia, we're going to gradually expose you to snakes. If you have a water phobia, we're going to gradually expose you to water. And if you have a phobia of socially communicating with your classmates, which is the case for a lot of autistic children, you're going to slowly, carefully, patiently, and supportively expose your child to other children. You have to do this. There is no such thing as my child is autistic, so I don't let him socialize with other children. Are you crazy? Just because he's autistic doesn't mean he can't learn social skills. He needs exposure therapy to get careful being around other children, and then he needs social skills therapy to work with other children. He needs exposure therapy to get comfortable being around other children, and then he needs social skills training to learn how to communicate with other children. That's number 4. Commandment number 5. Make sure your autistic child is getting the necessary speech and language therapy. Because if your child has a speech problem that is not being addressed, he may never or she may never develop the self-confidence necessary to communicate with other children. Too often, a speech problem appears to be an autistic problem. And sometimes you have an autistic child who has a genuine speech problem. But if the speech isn't making progress, neither will the social skills therapy. If the speech is not making progress, if your child is not improving in the area of speech, he cannot improve in the area of social skills, because you need speech in order to improve your social skills. Commandment number 6, parents and educators of autistic children. Please understand, autism is not intellectual disability. 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 An intellectual disability is a cognitive deficiency, not a communications deficiency. An intellectual disability is a cognitive deficiency. It is not an intellectual deficiency. Don't let the schools put your autistic child in a life skills classroom with the intellectually disabled child because they will do it. Do not let the school put your autistic child in a life skills classroom with the intellectually disabled children because they will do it. Autism and retardation are two different disabilities. Autism is a communications disability. Mental retardation is a cognitive and intelligence disability. Commandment number 7, and this is very important, autistic parents. Commandment number 7, and this is very important, autistic parents. Even though your child is autistic, it doesn't mean they need special education. Even though your child is autistic, it doesn't mean they need special education. Please keep in mind, in order to qualify for special ed services in the United States of America, your disability must adversely affect educational performance of your child in the regular education classroom. I'm going to say it again. In order for your autistic child to qualify for special education, his autism must adversely affect his educational performance. If an autistic child can learn in the regular classroom, they have no business with an IEP. I'm going to say it again. If the autistic child can learn in the regular classroom, they have no business with an IEP. I'm going to say it one more time. You cannot qualify for an IEP unless there is an AAEP. You cannot qualify for an IEP unless there is an AAEP. You cannot qualify for an IEP unless there is an adverse effect on educational performance. If there is no adverse effect on educational performance, the child cannot qualify. If all they need is social skills training, they can still learn reading in a regular class. If all they need is social skills training, they can still learn math in a regular class. Autism is not a learning disability. It only becomes one if it affects learning. Most autistic children have no problem learning in the regular classroom. So stop putting kids in special ed automatically just because they're autistic. Does the child have trouble learning in the regular class? Does the child have trouble learning in the regular class? If the child doesn't have trouble learning in the regular classroom, they should not be in the autistic class. Commandment number 8. Commandment number 8. Even if the child does need autistic support, even if the child does need special ed for autistic support, even if your child does need special ed for autistic support, make sure the classroom that the school is trying to assign your child to, make sure the classroom that the school is trying to assign your child to has appropriately matched your child to that particular autistic class. Make sure the school has appropriately matched your child to that particular class. Remember, autism is a spectrum. Autism is a spectrum. You could be autistic with normal intelligence. You could be autistic with gifted intelligence. You could be autistic and intellectually disabled. You could be high functioning autism, moderate functioning autism, low functioning autism. Make sure that a low functioning autistic make sure a low functioning autistic child is not in a high functioning autistic class. Make sure a high functioning autistic child is not in a low functioning autistic class. You must make sure your child is appropriately placed, because if they throw your child into any autistic classroom, your child will suffer. And in the ghetto schools, that's exactly what they do. They tell black parents all the time, this is the only autistic class we have, and your child has to go in there. And that's when you're going to tell them, that's not my problem. The federal government of these United States gives all special education children a right to a free and appropriate public education. A free and appropriate public education. If that class is not appropriate for my child, you are violating federal law. If that class is not appropriate for my child, you are violating federal law. If that autistic class is not appropriate for my child, you are violating federal law. Also, black parents, make sure you visit the proposed class before school starts. Make sure you visit the proposed autistic support class before school starts. Make sure you visit the proposed autistic support classroom before school starts. And the reason you must visit the class before school starts is to make sure it is appropriately suited to your autistic child's needs. The class must be appropriately suited to your autistic child's needs. Any autistic classroom will not do. Any autistic classroom will not do. You have to go and observe the child and make sure the class is appropriately matched to your autistic child's skill level. Number 9, commandment number 9. If you're going to homeschool an autistic child, if you're going to homeschool an autistic child, if you're going to homeschool an autistic child, make sure you are ready for the demands of doing such, and make sure you adequately program for your child's social skills. The worst thing you can do is homeschool an autistic child and do not provide them with the necessary social skills training and social interaction with same-age children that they need in order to improve their functionality amongst peers and in society. If you're not going to homeschool the autistic child right, do not homeschool them at all. And that goes for all children, not just autistic children. Number 10, last but not least, do not give your autistic child medication. Do not give your autistic child medication. Do not give your autistic child medication. There is no cure for autism. There is no cure for autism. But teachers and doctors will try to brainwash you, influence you, manipulate you into giving your child medication. You know why? To deal with anger, because autistic kids get frustrated. To deal with distractibility. They want them to take Ritalin and Adderall so they can stay focused. Are these drugs going to help your child? No. They want you to give your child antidepressants to deal with mood disorders. Are any of these drugs going to help your autistic child develop social skills? No, they are not. Those drugs will make your child more afraid to interact with other children. Those drugs will handicap your child even further. Those drugs will affect your child's emotionality and intellectual functioning. Stop giving Black autistic children psychiatric medications. Stop giving Black autistic children psychiatric medications. Stop giving Black autistic children psychiatric medications. That is my tutorial for today. Hit the Cash App, $FDMG School. Hit the Cash App, $FDMG School. Hit the Cash App, $FDMG School. Hit the PayPal, paypal.me/FDMG Academy. Hit the PayPal, paypal.me/FDMG Academy. Black college and Consciousness Tour coming up this spring. Tour 1, 11 to 17-year-olds. Tour 2, 18 to 25-year-olds. Black College and Consciousness Tour, hosted by the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy, coming up in spring of 2022. Tour 1, 11 to 17-year-olds. Tour 2, 18 to 25-year-olds. Chattanooga, Tennessee. I will see you Thursday from 2 o'clock until 8 o'clock. Chattanooga, Tennessee. I will see you Thursday, November the 4th, Chattanooga, Tennessee. November the 4th, Chattanooga. If you need the flyer, text me. Free lecture, followed by book signing. Lecture from 2 to 4, book signing from 4 to 8. Lecture from 2 to 4, book signing from 4 to 8. Chattanooga, Tennessee, Thursday, November the 4th. Atlanta, Georgia, Friday, November the 5th. Atlanta, Georgia, Friday, November the 5th. Atlanta, Georgia, Friday, November the 5th. Aminola Griot Afrocentric Museum. Free event, 2 to 8. Vendors are allowed. If you want to be a vendor, text me for the flyer. Contact Sister Nisa. She will take care of it. If you want to be an Atlanta vendor, text me for the flyer. Get in touch with Sister Nisa. She will take care of it. Chattanooga, November 4. Atlanta, November 5. Greenville was going to be November 6. Greenville was going to be November 6. Greenville, South Carolina was going to be November 6th, but we couldn't find a location. We have to postpone Greenville, South Carolina. We couldn't find a location. We have to postpone Greenville, South Carolina. So now, taking the place of Greenville, are you ready? Taking the place of Greenville. Are you ready? Taking the place of Greenville on Saturday, November the 6th, the Prince of Pan-Africanism will be coming to Mobile, Alabama for the first time ever. The Prince of Pan-Africanism will be coming to Mobile, Alabama on Saturday, November the 6th. The Prince of Pan-Africanism is coming to Mobile, Alabama on Saturday, September the 6th. Wednesday, November the 10th, Capitol Heights, Everlasting Life Cafe. Wednesday, November the 10th, Capitol Heights, Everlasting Life Cafe, 6 o'clock. Wednesday, November the 10th, Everlasting Life Cafe. Thursday, November the 11th, Nat Turner Land. We get started at 12 noon, we go until sundown. We get started at 12 noon, we go until sundown. We get started at 12 noon, we go until sundown. Go to natturnerlibrary.com. Go to natturnerlibrary.com. Norfolk, Virginia, Friday, November the 12th, Kroc Center. Norfolk, Virginia, Hampton Roads, 7 Cities, Friday, November the 12th. Doors at 4. Program from 5 until 8. Doors at 4. Program from 5 until 8. The Kroc Center, Hampton Roads, Norfolk, Virginia. Saturday, November the 13th. Possibly Albany, New York. Black Expo. The Prince of Pan-Africanism comes to Albany, New York for the very first time. The Prince of Pan-Africanism comes to Albany, New York for the very first time. Black Expo, Saturday, November the 13th. And then the grand finale. And then the grand finale. Great Blacks in Wax Museum, Sunday, November the 14th. Great Blacks in Wax Museum, Sunday, November the 14th. Great Blacks in Wax Museum, Baltimore, Maryland, Baltimore, Maryland, Baltimore, Maryland, Sunday, November the 14th, 2 p.m. until 8 p.m. Free event. Lecture from 2 to 4, book signing from 4 to 8. 2 events in Maryland, 2 events in Virginia, 1 event in New York, 1 event in Tennessee, 1 event in Georgia, 1 event in Alabama. I'm taking care of Maryland, Virginia, Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, and New York. 6 cities, 6 states, 2 weeks. 6 cities, 6 states, 2 weeks. Excuse me, 7 cities. 7 cities.
Drums.